I'm Ashley.
I'm Sean Thomas.
I'm Jake.
I'm Jordana.
I'm Kara.
And we're from Destin, Florida. Listening to the Weekly Port Podcast with TBT and Ace.
What's up, guys? Cassandra Carson here from Paralandra and the Life Project, and you're listening to the Weekly Pour Podcast.
Hey guys, it's Leva Leone, and you're listening to the Weekly Pour. Great metalheads, crazy music, because we all bleed metal. Ciao.
My name's Reggie, and you are listening to the Weekly Pour Podcast. Thanks so much for joining the most amazing twosome out there.
Hey, this is Chef Jason from Bad Company Barbecue, and you're listening to TBT and Ace on the Weekly Pour Podcast.
This is Kathy from Music and More Records in New Hartford, New York, providing you with all of your music needs. You are listening to the Weekly Pour Podcast with TBT and Ace. Rock on, guys!
The Weekly Pour Podcast, proving time and time again that success is 1% inspiration, 98% perspiration, and 2% attention to detail. Here are your hosts, TBT and Ace.
What's up, guys? I am TBT. That guy over there is Ace. And welcome in the middle, the lead vocalist for All the Pretty Things, Mr. Logan Tabor. How are you tonight, Logan?
Good, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing outstanding. And I just have to say, that is the absolute longest intro I could have ever come up with. Because, we've got, 3 minutes left in the show now, and this is ridiculous. Anyway, we want to welcome Logan. Logan, you are, as I mentioned, with All the Pretty Things. You are the vocalist. You guys are out of Wilmington, North Carolina. And Ace actually happened to reach out and get in touch with your PR person, and we've set this up. And in between, this conversation and actually getting here tonight, we've had a chance to listen to a couple of your songs. One of which is out for everybody to listen to, and the other one is coming out March 8th. But we got a little sneak peek of it, and man, I got to tell you, you guys are freaking rocking.
Well, thank you. I didn't realize you were going to have the inside access to the new song, which I'm happy about because I was hoping we could talk about it. So now
it's all Jamie's fault.
Oh yeah, she's the worst.
It's all her fault.
She's the best. I was hoping she would send it to you guys. I'm glad she did. But thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the music.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for me, I listen to anybody that's got satellite radio. I listen to a lot of Sirius XM, Octane. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if even just Teenage Lines, which is your track that's out right now, I wouldn't be surprised if that was on there very soon.
I would love that. Do you know a guy? You gotta connect out there.
We're going to get to that. We'll get to that. Let me step over real quick and welcome everybody in the chat. We've got who do we have in there? Natalie, our moderator, of course, she's in there first and foremost. We have someone by the name of Right Angles, who is a very big Logan fan because her comment is Logan. I think that was all the ends. Natalie says she loves Teenage Lines. She's been jamming to it on her way home from work today. So the word's getting out there, and I know we've posted on our social media for all of our followers. So we're trying to help you get that out. And but yeah, we'll get those words out there for you, and we'll see if we can't make some connections to get it out there on Octane.
You're the man. I love it.
So you guys being out of North Carolina, I'm going to go through the list of people that are band members. You got 2 guitarists, one of which is Tristan Matthew. You have Worth Weaver, and on drums you have Jeremy Bryan. Now, one thing that I guess a lot of people will notice is I didn't speak of your bassist. Unfortunately, your original bassist for the band passed. and that was James. And you guys are, my understanding is you have a bassist picked out and you just haven't announced it yet, or?
We are talking to a number of people actually, none of which I think I'm allowed to mention. But
Sure.
For the time being, I've just been in the studio recording all the bass tracks. I've been playing bass for a long time. I kind of play most of the rock band type instruments, so I just kind of step in where I need to. And yeah, we're talking to a number of people, just trying to find the right fit before we make a move. You know.
We know a great bass player, but unfortunately he's on tour right now with the Winery Dogs. We just talked to him last week, Billy Sheehan. You may have heard of him. You know.
Yeah, we did just talk to him last week, and Ace is a master at the kazoo.
Oh, sick. Yeah, we need to talk to this guy. All these guys.
If you play bass and you're pretty good at it, have you ever thought about just playing bass yourself and singing?
Are you talking a la Kip Winger?
Exactly, or Jack Blades, or someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. I think we're trying to keep my hands free for the occasional keyboard part, and there's some songs we might want to do a third guitar live and that sort of thing. So, you know, wow, I never know what's going to happen, but we're just kind of trying to see if we can use me in some other way. I don't know.
Well, if you're a front man, you're a front man, so you want to interact with the crowd, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's easy to do if you got hands that are free. So I get that part.
Yeah.
Where are you going with that?
The occasional instrumental thing. I'm
talking about waving.
Oh, okay.
Waving to the crowd.
Yeah. Sure. That's what I'll go with.
Hello. This. You over there. You guys.
Right.
Exactly. So how did this band come together? I know you guys have all been in different bands in the past. How did this conglomerate of guys come together, and what made you guys decide to start putting music on?
Man, I was actually a few years ago now, I was in Worth's studio, and I was tracking bass for another band out of North Carolina called Striking Copper. And before we started I've known Worth my whole life because we grew up in the same town pretty much. And but we were never like tight, and we never played music together. And he showed me this stuff, which I guess now that I'm thinking about it was like an early version of Teenage Lines and an early version of Every Now and Then. No vocals, it was just demos. And I was like, dude, you have to let me write vocals for this, because it was like so in my wheelhouse. And I had been playing, you know, softer stuff and Americana stuff and like Radiohead type stuff for a long time. And I was like itching to get back into heavy music, which is kind of like where I cut my teeth in the first place, you know?
Sure.
And so I took the stuff home, and then COVID hit. And like we didn't do anything about it for a while. But at some point during that, I got, you know, just, I guess, weirded out enough to actually sit around and write something. And he and Tristan had kind of been like, all right, man, we're all bored as hell. Just let's do this. Write a thing. Send us a demo. And so I demoed out Every Now and Then. And I think we were all like really, really happy with it. And we realized there was something cool there. And we finished it like a proper version of it in the studio. That was actually the first song that we finished as a band. And we got in touch with Jeremy. Tristan knew Jeremy just from touring with various bands, and like Tristan's a guitar tech for a bunch of bands. He's just been in the industry for so long and has so many connections. And Jeremy was somebody he thought of, and Jeremy was into it. And so that's kind of the four of us. I never knew Tristan or Jeremy before all this.
Wow. There's another North Carolina band that I followed back in, I'll show my age here. This is probably 93, 94. They're no longer together, but Luke Edwards was the lead singer. It was Animal Bag.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, yeah, they're on YouTube. They were kind of they were rock, but kind of a little bit of an alternative band, and they were good. They had some, you know, their issues like a lot of bands did back in the 90s, and unfortunately they're no longer together. So you guys have definitely got to take that, you know, that North Carolina prize and just run with it.
Hoping to. Really pushing for it.
when you write your music, it says you write from you got a notebook and you've got phrases and verses and things that are random thoughts in your head that help you expand on things. Is that what you do? You take an idea when you feel like you have time and some inspiration and write lyrics that way?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I do have like these three pretty sizable books that I've written in over the years and pretty much filled up. And it's usually like a verse here or a chorus here, or even just like a cool one-liner or something.
Right.
That I never really found a place for, but I didn't ever want to let that stuff go. There's some cool stuff in there. And a lot of times when we're writing these songs, we'll get the instrumentation done or done enough, and then I can start thinking of lyrics, and I really just try to think of lyrics that sound like the song, like that sound like the mood of the song. And sometimes those will hit me right away, and they'll be totally new and unique for that song. And a lot of times I'll hit a snag or something, and I'll need some inspiration, so I'll dive back into those old books and see if anything like feels right for the song or catches my ear and or eye. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Like I'm writing a song right now that's like 60% stuff I'm writing right now and 40% stuff that I went back and grabbed because I was like, ooh, there's this one line back in there. I've got kind of like a Rain Man brain about these three books specifically and about nothing else in my life. So I was like, ooh, there's a line in this book near the middle of this book that I think will fit here. And like, I don't know, it's bizarre.
It's not unusual for you to do that. Sammy Hagar does the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's got notebook after notebook full of just phrases and one lines. And Stevie Nicks has had books of poetry that she would sit down and work on and get the lyrics out and turn them into music. So what you're doing is not unusual, and it's a good creative way of just getting things out there. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, man, it was like I used to be in old bands, and some of my band members would ask me, it's like, well, why are you diving back in these books to look for new stuff? It's like, why don't you just write new stuff specifically for this song? And I would have to explain, a lot of the things that I've already thought of and said are what I meant, like very well thought out. I had an intention and I wanted to say something. I felt like I said it well, and I don't want to let that go to waste,
Right. You might not say it the same way a second time.
Yeah.
My best one-liners, I get yelled at by my wife, and I can't ever repeat them again. So I don't even write them down. I was like, I use them once, and then I can't use it again.
Well, and famously, Richie Sambora. Sorry, I didn't laugh at your dad joke.
Yeah, whatever.
Richie Sambora. I remember reading where he just leaned over one day during a video music shoot and said to, I think, someone else in the band, "Bad Medicine, remember that." And then like a year later, they wrote that song. Just that sounded cool to him.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a pen and a paper, just say it.
I guess it's better than just leaning over going "Bed of Roses" while he's looking at Tico.
Well, that's what inspired it.
That was a joke there too. You could have laughed at that as well.
I just did.
Oh, that was a shitty laugh. So I have one line that I wrote, and I mentioned it. I don't even remember if I told Billy Sheehan, but I've got like one line. I've Googled it. I can't find it on anybody's song, and you guys are going to be allowed to use it if you want, because I haven't seen it anywhere or heard it. Hang your halo on my horns. It's a hit.
I like it. And, it's one of those lines where you're like, I feel like I should have heard that. Like somebody should have thought of that, but you saw it. That's right.
He told me that this week, and I thought he stole it from somewhere. But
yeah, you did. I couldn't be original.
God, that's good. I like that. I'll consult you before using it in case between now and then you find a place for it to go.
I'll have your contacts get in touch with my contacts, and we'll make it happen. So, who would you look at as your influences?
Man, I got like different influences for different things. Obviously, man, Cornell is just my guy. just my guy. I love that guy. I talk about him like constantly. Like people in my life are sick of hearing me talk about Chris Cornell. But I don't really like say anything of substance about him. I'm just like, I love that guy. I miss him so much.
Right.
But lyrically and vocally, obviously, he just an absolute monster and a very unique mind and very unique voice, and somebody who was just willing to kind of like give it everything they had to make the best music possible. And if he wore himself out or burned himself out, it's almost like he was willing to take that risk for the music, which is rad. It's dangerous, but it's rad. Guys like Brandon Boyd from Incubus, from a lyrical and a vocal standpoint, you know, he's said some really inspiring stuff to me over the years in his music, and his voice is just incredible. That band just keeps on going.
Yeah, they've got some pretty intense lyrics for sure.
Yeah, man, just really like heavily introspective and reflective on life and humanity as a whole. And I love stuff like that. I'm hugely influenced by Jeff Buckley in the short time that we got his music. Man, there's so many of them. What else? I'm blanking, dude.
Well, but that's good. I mean, you've got more than just, that one person that you're hanging on saying, I want to be like this person. I want to come out with lyrics that are like this. I mean, obviously you're going to be yourself. You're going to be Logan, and what comes out is going to be you.
Yeah.
But it's good to have so many different influences because you're pulling from all different areas. So, I can imagine in your books as you're, writing these things down, could have been while you were thinking of Cornell or, an Incubus album, and you're like, oh, this would go right along with that. So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Vocally, you can stretch the notes pretty well. You got a pretty high range, it sounds like, from what I was hearing in Teenage Lines and the other song. Have you always been able to sing like that, or have you taken lessons, or what have you done to get better?
Man, I think I've been singing since I was 11 or 10 or 11. So like 22, 23 years. And my family was always really musical, and I kind of always have had like the worst voice out of all of them. Like my little sister is a fucking monster. Like just a total badass. I love this chick. But, I don't know. I was always the one that kind of, compared to the rest of them, seemed a little bit tone deaf. And it wasn't because I was tone deaf. It was just because like I didn't have as good of a voice, like a pitch matching voice. I knew what I needed to do and just like couldn't always get there. But I loved it so much that I kept doing it. I loved writing lyrics and singing and performing, and I just kept doing it. And my voice has kind of gone through a lot of phases over the years, like there was a point when I was in my early 20s when I felt like my voice was getting really strong and it was clean. And then something happened, and I just like, when I was like 24 or 25, started going through like a second puberty, and I was just cracking all over the place, and like things were changing, which I think is actually natural. But at the time I didn't realize it. And I was like, wow, Logan, well, you just suck. You should stop doing this, and I don't know. It's like eventually I did take a break for a few years from writing songs. I was still playing like cover bands and that sort of thing. And I think when I started singing in this band, something just happened. I think like I had been singing for so long that I just figured out my voice and how to navigate it, how to make it truly mine, and how to do it without hurting myself completely. Because I mean, it hurts a little, as you can probably hear. It's not like the most comfortable thing in the world, but I don't know. There was just something happened, man. There was like a revolution. I just kind of figured out my thing, and it's hard to explain. But I'm sorry. What?
No, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say I probably have taken like 3 vocal lessons in my life, and I found them to be pretty hindering. They kind of they didn't, and it was probably just because I taught myself how to sing in the first place, and it had been so many years of me doing it how I did it. And then you've got these people who probably really know what they're doing and really know how to protect and use their voice, but they use it for things like musicals and opera, which I'm not knocking any of those things. They're awesome art forms in their own, but it just didn't seem like it worked for me, and I needed to kind of keep going my own way there.
Who is it your scream at the beginning of Teenage Lines?
Mm-hmm.
Scares shit out of me every time. Every time.
Nice.
Now,
That's awesome.
I want to go back to your sister because you've already mentioned her. Do we get to hear her on any backing tracks on the album?
Yeah, actually, we recently had her come in and do some backing vocals, and sometimes we'll use her as like a consultant for harmonies and that sort of thing. Like particularly if there's a song that enters like a harmonic minor or a melodic minor or something funky's going on, I can only find like certain things that I want to do, so I'll bring her in because she like will instantly put together 5-part harmony vocal arrangements in 2 seconds.
You off.
It super does, but I found a way to use it for the betterment of all of us.
Absolutely.
When you get into the production of these songs, outside of your sister and other people harmonizing with you, when you produce these things, have you tried the double tracking of the vocals and layering and all that? That stuff fascinates me. How we can get layered vocals that sound so big, and it's the same guy just laying on tracks.
Yeah, that's typically what we do. Like Teenage Lines, and every now and then is just my voice. And what I usually like to do, there are certain cases where we do something else, but for the most part, you can pretty much count on lead vocal being a single lead vocal right down the middle. And then any harmonies, they're doubled and panned left and right. And we usually do, depending on the part or how intense the part's supposed to be, we usually do, a low octave of the melody, a third, and a fifth at the very least. So there's like six panned harmonies and then the one vocal down the middle, the lead vocal. So a lot of.
Have you guys played anything live yet together as a band?
No, we have not. We just had Tristan and Jeremy in town for a little jammy jam / let's finish drums and guitar for this record that we're trying to put out. So we did that, but no, we haven't played out yet, and we are eager to get started.
Don't talk too much shit. Jeremy's in the chat right now, so.
Oh, Jeremy, why are you here? What are you doing here?
It's always spying. So talking about the new album, obviously there's not been anything mentioned about a release. Do you guys hoping, or is the plan to release it in 2023?
Tentatively, yeah. Okay. I think that's what we all want to do. It'll come down to logistics and timing. But I think we're all like really eager to go ahead and wrap it up and get it out there, man.
Absolutely. You guys have a label picked out and everything ready to go?
I think we're gonna go independent, man.
Okay.
We've been weighing some options, and the more we talk about it, it kind of seems like the most fitting thing for all of us at the moment.
There are a lot of bands that are doing their own thing without the big record company and doing all right. Dirty Honey. Have you heard of Dirty Honey?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if they have one now, but they for a long time didn't have a record company contract of any kind, and they were just doing their own thing and building up the buzz, and it did real well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, because by the time I heard them, they were pretty damn popular. And man, that band is so they sound like their band name. It's fucking awesome. They're so rad, man. And that guy can just wail. He's like new Axl Rose. Crazy.
There's a little bit of Zeppelin in there that I like, and I noticed we have a bit of Zeppelin renaissance in some of these bands. Of course, Greta Van Fleet, Dirty Honey has a little Zeppelin in them, and I'm a big fan of Rival Sons.
I don't know if I know Rival Sons.
You need to check out Rival Sons. They have about 5 or 6 records out that are fantastic.
I will do that. I like that stuff, man, for sure. That's right up my alley.
Yeah, and you may get inspired by these guys because they're amazing. They got a new one coming out soon. So check them out one time.
That was very forceful of you. You were like, you need to check them out. I mean,
you do.
I got like nervous for a second because that was violent. I'm just going to point that out.
I was scared. Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go, scaring the guests. So album comes out. You guys are ready to tour. Who would be your dream bill to be out with touring?
Oh man, don't do that to me. There's just so many.
You're violent, and I just say who you want to tour with. So,
man, for me, I think Coheed and Cambria would be like
the
ultimate.
Absolutely.
Little Coheed, man, can't mess that up. That's going to be a great tour.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of that band.
Yes.
Big fan.
Nice.
I'm going to write that down because we're going to make that happen too.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I was going through, my head earlier today thinking, who I could see you guys out with just based on what I heard, and that's one that I did not even think of was Coheed and Cambria. So,
have you seen their cover of Love Gun? They did that acoustic cover of Love Gun. Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, Logan, check it out.
Tell him to check that out too.
Oh, Logan, you need to check it out.
I'll check it out.
Gosh, what a dick!
Logan is so busy focused on Chris Cornell, telling everyone about it, and his vocals and his record. He's got no time for me.
Obviously. Good grief. So
fantastic.
What is your with everything you guys have done so far, the most difficult obstacle you guys have come across so far as a band, even if it's early on? What's been the hardest thing?
Man, that is a really good question. I don't know. Things have gone pretty smoothly thus far. Worth and I are living in the same house right now, recording this album because the studio is in his house. And, I mean, it's gone smoothly for the most part, but you run into technical issues, and you run into those nights where your voice just isn't having it. It's just pissed off at you, and it wants you dead, and it'll do anything to get you there. But I mean, for the most part, it's been pretty easy, especially after we found Jamie. Because I think the hard thing early on is navigating what are the first steps we take, and how do we put this music out and not just do what so many smaller bands are forced to do and put it out, throw up the Hail Mary and hope to God somebody catches it or hears it, and then they don't get the amount of streams they want, they don't get the amount of royalties they want, they don't get the opportunities that they deserve because they just don't know where to put stuff. And that was a big challenge at first, but man, when we found Jamie, it was she's so well connected and has so much experience and just likes to plan, likes to strategize, and that kind of really took care of a lot of the major concerns we had early on.
Well, I've heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I've heard that sometimes eating a lot of canned fish can cause these problems.
Where are you getting this information? Who are you talking to? Is Jeremy talking shit about the canned fish?
No, right, this is just something that I've heard. It's just, I like to be in depth with our conversations, and when I'm afforded, to talk to people.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually,
Tristan may also be in the chat.
You what?
I said Tristan may also be in the chat. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I literally ate a canned mackerel 2 hours before this. I'm not joking. I've been eating pickled garlic, pickled carrots, and canned fish all day today.
All day.
I don't even want to ask why.
Is that what was in the pantry?
That's on purpose. I went to the grocery store today specifically to buy these items.
Wow.
I don't know what it is, man. It's just I don't know. I eat.
This is gonna be the first time we've ever had an intervention in the middle of a podcast.
So you're not struggling. You're not a struggling artist. You're not so broke that you have to just eat canned fish. You choose to go to the store and buy these things and eat them.
Oh, it's voluntary. I went to the store this morning, spent $100 on pickled and canned goods, came home and immediately started consuming them. I could have spent $100 on anything.
This may be the reason you guys all can't get together in the studio at the same time.
Yeah, it has proven controversial at times. Yes, I'm
I
willing to
have
make
no
that
doubt.
sacrifice.
Like, Logan, stay in the booth. Don't come out.
Yeah,
Please, God.
keep working on that track.
That's how we get so much work done. They won't let me leave the isolated vocal booth.
No, I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, but you were mentioning that everybody's got a piece of the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Who contributes the least?
To the creative process,
And that's only because they're in the chat. So
my dog Basil is extra. Like when everybody's actually trying to do stuff, because she's supposed to be a co-producer along with Worth's dog Lilu, and Basil just refuses to do anything but like wrestle the rest of the band members while they're trying to work. So she's kind of an ass.
It sounds like Bruce Perlman from back in the boy band days.
Yep.
Yeah. Gosh. What's the best advice you've ever been given while in the music business from another artist?
Be patient and don't stop.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people just get discouraged because they don't know how to wait, and they don't think it's going to come. And, you know, and literally even Jamie, after 23 years of me being in music, still had to tell me to just shut up and be patient, dude. Calm down.
It'll happen. Just wait.
Did you get that sage advice from someone famous that we know, or is that just something someone has told you over time?
No, I mean, it's something a number of people have told me over time, and it's not, and I have heard it from people who aren't what you would consider like traditionally famous, but like session guys and other guys who own studios, like in New York or wherever. You know, people who are prominent in the industry. If you're in the industry, you know.
Well, those are the backbone of the industry, I would think. Those session guys.
Yeah, but they're not always, household names or anything. But they're wicked intelligent, and they have seen every side of the industry and know how to navigate it better than anybody. You know?
Yeah, these are guys that don't get credit half the time for stuff they do.
Yep.
Ask anyone that recorded a Kiss record.
Damn.
You know,
nice.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
Now you guys have Worth in with him. I've been watching videos and all that, and you see him in there doing some producing and stuff. And it seems like all he wants to do, like any good producer does, is want to just make a band sound better, make everything come together. Is it a little infuriating, or sometimes just aggravating that your producer's actually in the band?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Because he is trying to get the best product out of us, the best performance out of each of us. And he just has good ears and a good mind for popular music, and not necessarily like pop, like Britney Spears pop, but music that is effective to and can garner a wide variety of listeners. And so he knows how to get the tones that he wants and the performances he wants. He helps us get them. And he has the best interest of the song in mind at all times. You know, it's not coming from like a selfish creative place of his. And there's not like a superiority complex either. Like I imagine, I mean, I've never worked with like a big dog producer, but I imagine there can sometimes be like a ego contest or a superiority complex somewhere. I don't really know. I'm just saying stuff, but I mean, we don't have that issue because, he just wants the song to be the best, and he's going to get credit for being in the band no matter what. So, yeah.
So you mentioned going independent, and of course your producer's in the band, but having the studio right there available to you guys, that's going to be got to be beneficial because you're not booking studio time, which is costing a lot of money if you do.
Oh, yeah.
You got access to whatever you need whenever you need it, I feel like that would be beneficial, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. We're very fortunate that Worth spent his life, saving up for all this gear and learning how to use it and honing his skills, man. Because, dude, the amount of time that he and I have spent down in that room over the last few months is like sometimes I will stop and try and think about how much it would cost if we were to do that somewhere else, and it is it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like makes me want to throw up a little bit thinking about the number.
I think that's what's going to help is the fact that you can go independent, you can produce your own product and put it out there and maximize the cost. That's the way a lot of people are going these days, I believe.
Absolutely, dude. It would be a huge limitation if we had to go to somebody else with that amount of experience and that amount of equipment.
Right. We just talked to John Karabi a few weeks back, and he was in his studio at the time trying to learn Pro Tools. He took a Pro Tools class and trying to learn to lay down all his own tracks for his record that's coming up. And that's a lot of work, but it's also time well spent.
Oh, absolutely. It's a game changer. I mean, you don't have to worry about driving across town. You don't have to worry about all the money it costs. And if you have the willpower, you can sit there until 3 o'clock in the morning, do it like the same take over and over again until you get it exactly right, and you don't have to sweat the clock.
Right. So I would take it you're using Pro Tools in the studio. Is that right? Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Yeah, because that's a much more updated, modern way to record. We're not used to it, TBT and I, talking about it a whole lot. So you would be one of the first ones that we've talked to that's actually using it. How has it helped record the songs that you're recording now? Has it made it easier? Has it made it more frustrating? How's it worked for you?
From what I can see, and I usually try to spend as much time down there while Worth is, doing all the other stuff that he has to do as a producer, just to make sure that, he doesn't feel like he's being left alone. Like, all right, now go work on our album and I'm going to go watch TV. Like, I don't want to do that to him. So from what I can see, he knows it pretty darn well. So, I think it's been a good thing. Every now and then you run into some weird issue with a plugin or compatibility with this hardware or whatever it is. But I mean, he knows the stuff well enough to work around those things pretty quickly. And man, there's so many tools. Like I'll watch him do this stuff, and there's just like so many tools and plugins in Pro Tools now. And I mean, there always has been, but the way it is now is just like he has everything he needs right there. He just has to know how to use it, and he does. I am deeply intimidated by that software just from staring at it over his shoulder. But he's got it on lock, so I'm fine. I guess that's all I can really say about it.
Well, I hear you're a pretty good video editor, so you shouldn't be too intimidated.
Well, that's awfully sweet of you to say. I've spent a lot of time getting good at editing video. It's kind of what I do by trade now, so...
Speaking of videos, are you guys going to throw one out for every now and then?
I think we're going to throw some stuff out, like video supplements, visualizer maybe, and that sort of thing. And that'll probably like roll out in the weeks and or months to follow the actual rollout of the song. But we don't have a specific video planned for this one.
I want a old school live performance video. I want You Give Love a Bad Name. That's what I want.
Okay.
You're
no hair.
Freaking demanding.
Well, you don't have any hair, so you can't do that. But
nice.
But I would love that.
Wow.
Not picking.
I should put your ass in the middle of us.
It's an observation. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, something would be wrong with you if you had not yet observed that.
Exactly. Do you get mistaken for Chris Daughtry much?
No, I don't. Thanks.
Not you, Logan.
Yeah.
I said,
did you say Daughtry?
Yeah. Do you get mistaken for Chris Daughtry much?
No. Surprisingly, man.
Well, today's your first, apparently.
Today's the lucky day, buddy.
I didn't mistake him. I know who he is. He's right there.
Yeah.
When this hits, the
him,
chat's going to go ape shit. You know that.
I just see it right there. I'm like, man, people must stop him on the street in North Carolina and say, man, Chris Daughtry. And he's like, no, but I am in a band.
He is a North Carolina guy, right?
I think he might be.
Yeah, so I can see that. I can see it happening. If it does, we'll have a follow-up interview and we can talk about my first experience being confused for Chris Daughtry.
Jeez.
Yeah, then if you had like CD singles or something to pass out, you're like, no, but here.
You realize that everybody in the band is now going to start messing with him and calling him Chris Daughtry. You've started some shit.
I was hoping for that.
It's just Daughtry, guys.
Yeah,
it's just Daughtry.
Sorry, you're right. We're going to be on the lines on the inside of the album. First off, I would like to say big F you to Ace. So good job. Good job. Demanding, you're being a dick.
At least got mentioned.
True that. So somebody pulls up your playlist. What's on it?
My playlist?
Yep.
Oh man, I just made one. Sabrina Claudio, Neo, Soundgarden, Audio Slave, Incubus, Damien Rice for some reason. Sia, really like me some Sia.
Oh my gosh. Is Kathy in the chat?
What's that?
She was earlier.
Okay, because if she heard that, she'd be going nuts. The Sia.
Nice. Man, I don't know. I got like yeah, I already said the boys. Oh, Peter Gabriel, Genesis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, dude, I'm like a huge fan of them. My dad raised me on that stuff, and I've carried it with me the whole time. And I think the theatrics are cool, and the music's obviously great. But
yeah, and you're talking about the progressive old school Genesis before Phil Collins.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was the drummer only at that point.
Right.
Back when Peter Gabriel sang for him or whatever.
Right.
But I like both. You know, they both kind of had their eras where I was like, but for the most part, they're pretty cool. And then I guess there's my whole like deep dive Radiohead kind of stuff. Man, I went through a huge Radiohead phase. My God, they almost didn't bring me back.
He's a goner.
Yeah, they almost couldn't revive me.
So I notice in everything, and it may have been an oversight on your part as you're just naming bands, but no country artists?
Oh, I can do some country artists. Man, I gotta say, one of my favorite artists on the planet is Alison Krauss. Like, all day.
Awesome. TBT's a big fan.
Yep. Her and Plant are going to be near us here, I think, in the next couple months.
They're coming out this way too, man. And I have to, that first album they did, like changed my outlook on music altogether.
Absolutely. It changed my outlook on life.
Yeah. Well, dude, Alison Krauss is like the closest thing I think that we have to like a living angel, you know?
Right.
So that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say anything more about that.
Yeah. It's beautiful. God, yeah. Her and Union Station, man. That's some of like the most conversational like instrument playing that I've ever heard in my life. The way they talk back and forth to each other. And I don't know. It's a stage full of geniuses.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you add Robert Plant into that.
Oh, dude. Just, yeah, next level.
Well, in about an hour, I'm seeing Alter Bridge up here in Indianapolis. So, are you a fan of Alter Bridge at all?
I never dug into their catalog. Never had an issue with them. Always heard good things, but I'm not like super well versed on like their deep cuts or anything. You know.
You need to get some Alter Bridge.
All right, here we go.
Here we go again. Gosh.
I can do that. I will do all these things. You're not going to intimidate me. I'm going to do it willingly.
Yeah, he's open to
got
this.
Your ass.
He is not intimidated at all. He's open to this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm always, man, you guys have been good to me, having me on here, and of course I'm going to take advice, things to listen to. A, I like hearing new music, even if it's older music. B, who am I to judge, you know? I need some tunes in my life.
You gotta tell him who's opening up for him.
Oh, Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah, Eddie's boy. Yeah, which I'm anxious to see what that's going to be like. I've not seen him live, but I hear he tears up the guitar pretty well.
I would hope. Yeah, because that's a big shadow to be walking in.
Right. He's smart enough not to try to be the shadow. He's being his own person, which is good.
Good.
But
yeah,
he's one of those guys that can play everything, any instrument, anything, do all of it.
Well, cool. I assume he would have a band with him. Yeah. Or is it just him up there doing the damn thing?
No, it's Mammoth. It's what it's called, which was actually the original name of Van Halen, Mammoth. So it's called, Wolfgang Mammoth, I believe is what it is. Something like that.
You said in an hour?
Yeah. Alter Bridge would be about 9:15.
Nice, dude. All right.
So here's a secret, and we talked about this, and I wasn't going to mention it, but I want to tell you a secret. A couple days ago, when we were discussing the podcast and everything, Ace goes, "Oh shit! I just realized that I've got a concert to go to on Wednesday." So he made contact with Jamie to see if there was any way to switch things around, and it come out. We were just like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do it. He's like, I got something figured out. I've got this. So I'll tell you right now, this man has got so much shit figured out. He is literally sitting in his car in the parking lot right now.
That's right.
This is what we call dedication.
But see, you didn't know. You didn't know that I was in my car.
Well, yeah, but if I would have told you to not put your camera down a little bit, he'd have seen your freaking dome light.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's pretty funny, man. I love that.
Yeah, we bought these tickets. I think in November, something like that. Get this, Logan, $35. $35 to see Alter Bridge.
Yeah, that sounds like, based on life now, it sounds like you're lying.
Well, I wasn't buying Taylor Swift tickets. That's for sure.
That'll do it.
Those are impossible, and even your left arm wouldn't buy them. So
that's why you spend $25 and go see Steel Panther.
I told you I would.
That's good.
Yeah, I've seen them like 4 times, and I love them.
We're too old to stand in a theater, and when all the seats go, we're not standing.
Time's up there. That's awesome.
So I think earlier when we first started, you were talking about how COVID slowed things down a lot, and that made me think of our conversation with Billy Sheehan. He started a tour today. I think today's the 15th. So today's the first time that he's been out on stage on a tour since COVID. So your statement about how COVID really, slowed things down, I mean, that resonates with us because everybody else that we've talked to has said the same thing. It's not just studio time, but it's tours. It's places being able to hold a concert because, these halls or even these, amphitheaters or whatever, they just weren't doing it. And artists were struggling, sticking to writing music or trying to get studio time when everybody else is trying to get it. And it just kind of put a log jam in the whole industry there for a while.
Yeah, dude, that's insane that he hasn't toured in that long. That must have been a bummer for him. Like that'll change your whole life. I mean, like your lifestyle. If you're used to just your deal is you're on the road. I mean, man, it's a bummer.
He was itching to get out. He was itching to get out and tour, and this tour for the Winery Dogs is extensive. I mean, it's 3-4 months worldwide. So it's like it's like, hey, I haven't toured in months, years. We're doing it all tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Nice. Well, at least they're doing it right. Shit.
Oh, and we just lost him, and I can tell you exactly what happened. Somebody just sent him a text, and he's back. He's all pissed now. That's his pissed off look because somebody's trying to call him, or somebody's texting him. But yeah, back to the COVID thing, it is horrible for everybody. And since he's not here to hear me say this, I want to tell you somebody to check out as well. If you haven't already. What?
I'm back.
Along the lines of Alison Krauss, the Civil Wars.
Oh, okay. I know of that group, but yeah, I need to actually check them out then. Cool.
Yeah, I won't be so bossy, but I would highly recommend you check them out.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of them. Are they what's their deal?
They was a man and a woman duo, sang like some country folk rocky songs, and then all of a sudden, at the height of their career, they broke up.
Oh.
Yeah. Lots of rumors swirling around that they were doing a little bit more than just, singing. But yeah. But what they put out was pretty good. And I'm more of a, rock metal guy, but just listening to her, what was her name? Joy Williams. Just listening to her, she's awesome.
And I think I must have heard some of their songs. I know that name. I mean, that's like really familiar. I bet when I start going through their stuff, I will have heard a bunch of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we asked you what what the biggest piece of advice that you were given was. Would that also be the piece of advice you'd give somebody who's up and coming now, just getting started in trying to put a band together and an album and all that?
Man, I mean, that's definitely a piece of advice I would give somebody in that situation. I think a lot of what I've learned in the last few years that's helped me is that, I mean, and I this may not be universal advice because there's been a lot of people with humongous egos over the course of time where that's helped them. But I think generally speaking, being able to like let go of that part of yourself and genuinely hear other people's ideas and being open to working with people, especially if you've surrounded yourself with people that you claim to trust and who are talented and efficient workers and dedicated. I think that's really important, is being able to drop the ego a little bit, check yourself on a regular basis, not assume that everything you touch is going to turn to gold, and then be patient and don't stop working. Because really, I mean, this experience, I wouldn't say any of us walked in here with an ego or anything, but I think that's why we're able to work together for the long hours that we're able to work together, and without getting in fights and without getting frustrated. Nobody takes offense when it's like, nope, tighten it up, do it one more time, or nope, you were flat, do it again. It's not like a fuck you, man. No, I wasn't. It's like a, yeah, I probably was. I trust you. Let's get this right. You can get a lot more done. And I think the product ends up better for everybody when you just kind of like are open to maybe considering that you're not going to get it right every time.
I'm inspired now.
Well, the ego thing. The ego thing was a bit more in the past. I'm hoping future bands kind of put that stuff aside and work like you're talking about, where we're all in this together, kind of thing. And no one's bigger or better or badder than anyone else. We're just here trying to make a record.
Yeah. And I think that everybody who's out there making a record, or hopefully everybody who's out there making a record, is just grateful to be able to do so again,
Right. And you said, how long have you been in the business, trying to cut your teeth in this business? How long?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say when I got like measurably serious about it, but I mean, I've been in bands since I was 11. I've been like taking every opportunity to perform somewhere since then. Like we had our first gig when I was 11. We played at lunch at my school at my middle school on beach day.
Hell yeah!
It
Beach
rocked.
Day, I love it.
But it was funny, man. Like the first year so we were in 7th grade when we did that, and we played like all cover songs, like fucking all Blink-182, Green Day cover songs. And then, the second year we played it when we were in 8th grade, and we played all originals. So, but like just in that amount of time, we had like changed. We had kind of started to get serious, you know, like we're gonna take our shot at writing songs, man. And so it's been a while.
Are those 8th grade bandmates still involved in music at all, other than yourself?
Oh yeah, man. My buddy Brian is in a band out in, dude, actually me and Brian played in a bunch of bands together all the way up until we were like 26. We always, like, that was like the guy that I was always in a band with. We always wrote music together. He's in a band in Denver called Feral Suits, and they're badass. And I can't remember. Honestly, I don't think any of the other dudes from Beach Day are still playing music. I don't know though. I think we haven't kept up the way Brian and I did.
No Beach Day reunion or anything anytime soon.
I don't see it, but I'll tell you what, if I put one on the books, I'll let you know.
There you go.
But could you revisit some of those original Beach Day songs and maybe get them ready for something coming up? That's the ultimate tribute right there.
Yeah, dude, man. There's gotta be one of those originals that I could pull out of my ass in the next couple of days. It would take me a minute to like sit around and think of it, but I'll bet you I actually somewhere remember like the terrible lyrics I wrote when I was in 8th grade.
But then you could like rewrite it.
Yeah, actually make it legit, you know?
Yeah. And then, play it for those guys or play it for Brian, and like, look, it turned out to be pretty cool.
Nice. That's a pretty good idea.
And then if you're nice, you give him a writing credit anyway.
Yeah, I would give Brian a writing credit. He always had he always had a big role in the songwriting.
Well, I'm glad that you finally said something nice, Ace.
Well, I've been building up to it all night.
I can tell, and it was just that quick, and boom, it's gone. Good job. Well, listen, our time is about up. Logan, I want to give you the last chance here to get what you got to say. If there's anything else, we have thoroughly enjoyed having you on this evening. I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to Jamie. She's tough. She worked with us. We really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure she snuck into the chat for a little bit as well. But we really want to thank her for getting us hooked up with you guys. It's been tremendous. We are looking forward to seeing you guys out on the road at some point, maybe, this year or next year. Obviously we'll be following you guys and waiting for that album to come out. Anybody that's listening and or watching right now, don't forget on March 8th, every now and then is the next track that's going to be released. Teenage Lines is out right now. And of course, we're going to put the links up to the band on our social media. We'll put the links up to their social media as well. So check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and wherever else we can find them. YouTube, they've got some videos up on YouTube. So Logan, if there's anything else you've got to say.
No. I mean, I appreciate you guys having me. This was a genuinely very fun time, and I've appreciated talking to you and you taking the time to ask me some really insightful questions. And for anybody who wants to go check us out, we're on Instagram, Facebook. It's at AllThePrettyThings official. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, it'd be great if you could find our profile and follow it, because that helps us out a lot. When you get to a certain amount of followers within those platforms, you get to take advantage of a lot of cool tools for artists and that sort of thing. So that's a big help. But other than that, man, I just really appreciate you guys having us.
Absolutely.
Well,
we appreciate it. Most definitely.
Yeah, it's been fun. You guys are fun.
We'll once you guys hit, you guys are out, at the Grammy Awards and all that stuff, we'll have you guys back on. So that way you could tell us, what it was like to get yelled at by Will Smith or something like that. So
I've been waiting for that.
You're nothing compared to Ace. That's what he'll say. You're nothing compared to Ace.
Yeah. I remember that one time that guy told me I looked like Daughtry.
Yeah, I'm not so scared of you, Mr. Will Smith.
Yeah, I've been there. Real quick shout out to our normals, Kathy at Music and More Records, and of course Jason at Bad Company Barbecue. We cannot forget them. Until next week, I am TBT. That guy's Ace, and again, thanks to Logan with all the pretty things. And I'm sorry that Ace was such a dick.